Hey, this is Brian Posehn, and you're watching Sinistermoon's Retro Reviews. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. The show's totally metal, not for posers.
Intellivision Gen2.
Beer. Intellivision Gen2. Intellivision Gen2. Intellivision Gen2.
Shark.
Beer truck.
Classics updated. Intellivision Gen2.
Beer.
It was September 14th, 2012, and I was scrolling through the PlayStation blog and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Keith Robinson, the president of Intellivision Productions, announced that Intellivision would be bringing updated versions of Astro Smash, Shark, and Night Stalker to PlayStation Home. I was really liking what I was seeing, and Keith Robinson stated at the end of the blog that those games would be available that fall. But the following month, Intellivision stated on social media sites that it would just be Astro Smash and Shark to start with, and that they'd be coming out to PlayStation Home soon. So the games didn't actually end up coming out fall of 2012 like originally planned, but they did come out February 5th, 2013 for PlayStation Home, for PS3, and PlayStation Home Arcade for Vita. I was a big fan of PlayStation Home. I took part in the beta, and in 2010 I was in a Classic Game Room video along with Guru Larry, some of the Classic Game Room fans, and of course, Mark Busler. I was still a regular user of PlayStation Home in 2013, so having remade Intellivision classics in it worked out well for me. Home is often referred to as a Second Life ripoff, but I had never played Second Life and to this day I still haven't, so it was an all-new experience for me. A lot of my PSN friends would hang out in Home. We'd go to the arcade to bowl, play pool, and the arcade games. Playing games within a game while chatting was actually a lot of fun. The rest of Home was pretty much just a big advertisement for Sony products. But that was fine by me since Sony rocks and PS3 is one of the greatest consoles of all time. Sony actually never made Home accessible from the Vita, so instead of going to Home to play mini games, you just had what was basically an interface for them. PlayStation Home Arcade came with Wipeout 2D, Icebreaker, and a demo of Scribble Shooter that was all free. The Intellivision games and other games for it weren't free, but they're only $1 a piece. Any games bought in PlayStation Home Arcade were playable in Home, and any games bought in Home worked in the PlayStation Home Arcade, so you didn't have to buy the games more than once. So before we get into the rest of the history of these Gen 2 Intellivision games, let's take a look at them. I'll start with Astro Smash. Astro Smash was originally designed by John Shaw and was one of the top-selling games for the Mattel Intellivision. It was ported to the Mattel Aquarius as well as the Atari 2600, where it was renamed Astro Blast. It can also be played on the Intellivision Play and Plug units, the Intellivision Flashback, and pretty much every Intellivision collection. This enhanced classic was developed by David Warhol and his company Real Time Associates. David Warhol is also a part of the group of people known as the Blue Sky Rangers, which consist of former Mattel Electronics employees. He's an industry vet and he did an amazing job on this game. It feels a lot like the original, but the graphics have more of a 2.5D thing going on, so they're enhanced but still blocky. The sound effects are great, but there's no background music, which is a bit of a letdown. The controls are just like the original game. Hyperspace and auto fire are still there, but the auto fire is slower than just firing manually, so I don't use it. The background color also changes based upon your score, just like in the original. What's really cool about this game is the added weapon upgrades. There's a bomb that takes out everything on the screen, 3-way spread shot, shield, and some sort of badass beam that takes meteors and everything else out really well. There's also more UFOs to take out, some of which make Space Invader sounds. The original Astro Smash is basically a combination of asteroids and Space Invaders, so having that enemy in there just seems fitting. Overall, this is an excellent enhanced classic. It would have been nice if the hardest difficulty was a bit harder though. Next up is Shark. The original Shark was designed by Don Daglow, who also created what's known as the first sim game, utopia. Like Astro Smash, this new version was done by David Warhol and Real Time Associates. I personally enjoyed this Gen 2 version of Shark more than I enjoyed the Gen 2 version of Astro Smash. There's a lot added that really makes this game a lot of fun. There's more fish, and they all have new patterns to figure out. Everything is just overall bigger and better. More enemies to deal with. When I play this game in hard difficulty, I can tell that it's much harder than in the easy difficulty, but I still think that the hard could have been a little bit more challenging. The controls feel great, and I really like the mini games that occur when you collect all the hearts that come out of the mermaids. They're all fun, and they all add a lot to the game. When the shark comes out, you hear something that resembles the Jaws theme for a second. The shark looks great, and I love watching it take everything out. I really like everything about Shark Gen 2. It's super fun, and it's truly everything I hoped it would be. It is missing background music, but in all fairness, the original didn't have background music either. That brings us to the final Gen 2 Intellivision game, Night Stalker. This is the one that I was actually looking forward to the most, but it never came out. For a long while, Intellivision told us that it was almost done and that it was playable. At first, all we had was a single screenshot from the game, but a little later on, we got a first look of the game from David Warhol in a video that was put out by Mike Kennedy. Yes, that Mike Kennedy. But he wasn't known as the Coleco Chameleon guy back then. Back then, he was the Game Gavel guy. In that video, we got to see the first level in action. When you got hit by bullets, there was blood splatter that Keith Robinson wanted removed from the game. Mike Kennedy made the suggestion to turn the blood green or some other color. Everything looked good, and David said that the maze would change with every level, which I thought would have been really cool. Aside from Night Stalker not coming out, things were going pretty good for Intellivision. They were out doing interviews, and hardcore Intellivision fans were mostly pleased with the two Gen 2 games. I recall one really great 2-hour live Q&A conducted by 1337 Lounge Live that I was in the chat for. I got to ask Keith Robinson and David Warhol all kinds of questions. I asked them when we'd be seeing an enhanced Normie's Beach Babe-O-Rama, and both of their faces lit up. This was a game that they both worked on that was based on Keith Robinson's comic strip called Making It. It was developed by Real Time Associates and produced by EA for the Sega Genesis. I tried to find that Q&A, but it's totally gone, erased from the internet. Turns out 1337 Lounge Live was bought out by Twin Galaxies, and when I tried to contact them to see if they had a copy of it somewhere, I never got a reply. So unfortunately, unless someone out there has a copy, all I have are my memories. On March 31st, 2015, Sony shut down the home server, which was fine in a lot of ways since a lot of people, me included, lost interest in it. The PlayStation Home Arcade for Vita was also delisted from PSN in North America. So at that point, there was no way for me to play those enhanced Intellivision classics since, like Home, they were never put out on any sort of physical media. Intellivision did put out apps for Android and iOS, but by the time that I remembered that they did, they were gone. I have no idea when they were removed from the app stores. All I know is that they weren't there when I checked several years back, and they're not there now. Intellivision tried to bring the updated classics to PC and Mac by teaming up with everybody's favorite scammer, Mike Kennedy. Unfortunately, their Kickstarter was a failure. They were trying for $100,000 but only ended up collecting a little under $7,000. So that was officially the end of the Gen 2 games. They've never been offered again, and most people have long forgotten that they ever existed. I was able to play them again because of my soft-modded custom firmware PSTV, and unless you happen to come across the apps for Android or iOS, that's the only way to play these games now. I reached out to David Warhol to find out if Gen 2 Night Stalker was ever completed. He replied, "No, we had the graphics all done and the ability to design levels in Excel, then put them in the game, but didn't get the gameplay complete. So basically, we'll never get to play that enhanced version of Night Stalker, which is a total bummer." Since then, Intellivision has gone through a lot of changes, and we've been shown new versions of Night Stalker, Astro Smash, and Shark for the Intellivision Amico. At this point, the Amico has been delayed 3 times, and I haven't played these games, nor have I got to see them in person, but let's compare what has been shown of the new games to the Gen 2 games. I think looking at the games side by side should show why some hardcore Intellivision fans are still excited for the Amico. The Gen 2 games stay faithful to the originals more because they're more like enhanced versions of the old games, whereas the Amico games appear to be way more polished. They have more modes and ways to play instead instead of just being high score games with no end. Unlike the originals and Gen 2 games, the Amico games have cool background music and multiplayer options. Sadly, the Amico games don't have online multiplayer, which is really too bad because I'd love to play these games with my Intellivision friends all around the world. As of the making of this video, the release date of these Amico games and the Amico itself is uncertain. All I can say is that I hope to play them someday. Did you ever get to play the Intellivision Gen 2 games? Did you know about them before this video? Let me know in the comments section. Thanks for watching, and remember to stay sinister.
Hey, this is Tommy Chong, and you've been watching Sinistermoon's Retro Reviews. It's far out, man, and remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Sinistermoon's Retro Reviews.